What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with the two new Kuva and Tenet weapon. The Kuva SOBEK and the Tenet GLAXION. We're going to be taking a look at what these weapons do, how do they differ from their original counterpart, and how well they perform. And unfortunately, what I have to tell you might disappoint you. Taking a look at the Kuva SOBEK stats, you can see it just has a stat increase with a bit more crit chance, some critical damage multiplier, better status chance, and slightly more base damage. Now in the patch notes, DE did state that it's going to have better stats, an exceptionally well reload speed, and that reload speed was a 0.6 decrease. Now, as you can see, these are the stats you compare to. The Kuva SOBEK is substantially way better. And of course, you can increase that base damage even more with an additional elemental damage. And the elemental damage that I went for is bonus toxin. The reason being is because toxin can combine into three major elemental combinations: corrosive, viral, and gas. Having toxin on your weapon does save you an entire mod slot and can combine with different combinations. Unfortunately, this bonus toxin damage does not increase the damage bonus of Toxic Clash on Saren. Unfortunately, DE has moved the reload stat to the magazine section, which does not make sense because now you have to hover over weapons to see the actual stat, and this does not work when you preview the weapon. So right here, by hover over this, you can't see anything. You literally cannot see important information. Why was this change made? It makes no freaking sense. Both of the weapons have an augment that is locked behind Nightwave rewards. Unfortunately, this is going to take a while before we get to rank 15 for the Kuva SOBEK augment. This grants you status chance and multi-shot per shot landed with the current magazine. Since we don't own this augment just yet, we're not sure if this decays over time or stays there permanently or goes away after you reload. Now, for the Glaxion augment, it's kind of unique. However, I won't see myself using it most of the time. It might be beneficial in endo farms, but we'll see. As it states, 90% critical damage. Again, it doesn't have a timer, so we're not sure how long this lasts. Slain enemies have a 2% chance to drop an energy orb per cold status effect affecting them. So that's 10 stacks. But then enemies will die before you even stack that much cold on them. Now, we're not sure if you can apply cold stacks beforehand and then switch this weapon to get the bonus energy drop. So we'll just have to test that out. Again, this is at 25. So you have to wait a while before you can even test or even use these augments. All right, let's have a look at the Kuva SOBEK build. A basic build at that. Here, I have your usual viral with acid shells. This works really well if you're armor stripping enemies. However, guess what? Acid shells is currently bugged. How is it bugged? Well, it has a line of sight issue. Oh, good lord. So hopefully when this bug gets fixed, you can enjoy the acid shells loadout. As you can see, I have viral here because with the bonus toxin, all I had to do is put one elemental damage mod. Now I have viral. Simple as that. Tactical pump is so important here because with that 20 magazine, yeah, and you're going to be shooting pretty fast and the reload is horrible. So with Merciless and this primed reload mod, we go down to 0.9 seconds because letting animation shine will get you killed, shot, not being able to deal damage. All right, so usually when you armor strip and using acid shells, you expect enemies to go kabloomies. But acid shells is not making enemies go kabloomies properly. As you can see, you do have that line of sight feature. And by the way, this is a similar loadout to what I was using back in the days. So the footage you're seeing now is the old school setup with Zaku, with the armor strip, using Zata's Whispers, Sobek, and acid shells to make a lot of kabloomies. And as you can see, this is how it's supposed to look like. And unfortunately, it's not the same. So as you can see, the acid shells loadout wasn't that impressive, even if you had all the things going for it. Unfortunately, as of yet, when acid shells is bugged, the Kuva SOBEK is just another useless weapon. You're better off using anything else at this point. What's sad about this is that I pre-made a new Frost build to synergize with the Kuva SOBEK, but guess what? That Frost build can synergize with literally any other weapon. And I even have a second Kuva SOBEK on the way. So you would just armor strip them and blow them up. I mean, it kind of works, copiumly, because, well, they are armor stripped. So you'd use your fourth ability, get the damage buff with a crit chance, crit damage thanks to the augment, using Zata's Whisper, granting you a bit more damage for the explosions, and have some nice kabloomies. This should work. However, with the line of sight issue that Acid Shell has, well, it's not as impressive as it's supposed to look. So in this case, you can just use a better weapon and do a better job than the Kuva SOBEK. Literally. The weapon was just a stat increase with nothing special. Yes, it doesn't even have an alternate fire. So let's take a look at the Glaxion. Tenet GLAXION, to be exact. What's so special about the Tenet GLAXION? Well, it has chaining. That's it. It can chain up to 4 enemies, and it has a pretty long beam length. That's what's special about the Tenet GLAXION. Otherwise, it's a slight stat increase. If you were to compare it to the Glaxion Vandal, slight increase. Slight increase. I did go with bonus Toxin. I was fortunate to get 51% right off the bat. If you don't want to go for bonus Toxin, there are 2 other bonuses you can go for. Bonus Magnetic, so now you can have a combined element, and Cold, and you can do whatever other element you want, or you can run with additional Cold to increase that cold elemental damage. So then it's even stronger when you do combined elements. That's up to you. So what does bonus Toxin do to the Glaxion Vandal? Well, it combines with the cold, obviously. However, now that I have free viral elemental damage, I can put other multipliers on the weapon and run it with any other Warframe that can have bonus elements. For example, Saren, Hydroid, Lavos, all that stuff. And with those Warframes, you can use something like Roar, freeing up some additional mod slots. Unfortunately, that will not make the weapon that great. And how does the Tenet GLAXION compare to one of the most strongest beam weapons in the game right now? The Torrid Incarnon. Well, it's mediocre. Taking a look at the basic build for this weapon, you can see I have my crit chance, crit damage, the usual. Fire rate. You blow your load far too quickly on this weapon, so I decided to add some magazine capacity, taking it up to 140 from its original 90. Sinister Reach, of course, to increase the beam length. I do have bonus Toxin, as you can see right there. If I put something like Hellfire, you can see it will combine with the cold and form Blast, and I'll have the bonus Toxin left by itself. Very weird, right? If I put, of course, Infected Clip, nothing changes because it's still bonus Toxin combined with cold. So you'd have to use 2 elemental combinations to get Corrosive, and then you will still have Corrosive Cold. That's with bonus Toxin, that is. Your Corrosive will be definitely a lot stronger than your usual combination. As you can see, I have Viral just from that Toxin combination. I do have Galvanized Aptitude for the increase in status chance and bonus damage when enemies have more status effects affecting them. Unfortunately, here we only have Viral and Slash. We can get more elemental damage from, of course, other Warframes that can give you elemental damage. We'll change the faction damage real quick and show you the damage test on this weapon without outside influences. Alright, now that I've built up my damage, let's have a look. So this is the upfront beam. As you can see, it's chaining to enemies. 4 enemies chained there. And it's killing okay-ish. Yes, why not? Let's change it up a bit. So let's say I'm using a Sentinel with Reinforced Bond, Tenacious Bond, get all that juicy fire rate and crit damage. And I have a Warframe using Arcane Acceleration. This increases my fire rate by 90%, which is pretty much Vile Acceleration. I can drop Vile Acceleration for anything else. Let's put Galvanized Scope here, for example. Now we get additional crit chance. Pretty cool. But let's see how this damage compares. I'm also using Saren here with Venom Dose, Toxic Clash, and let's shoot at enemies. The weapon feels significantly better because it's with Saren, a Warframe that can increase your damage. Now let's take that a step further with Roar. We kill enemies fairly quickly. So this weapon can be really good with Warframe and Weapon Synergy. Unfortunately, not the same can be said about the Kuva SOBEK with its current issues with acid shells. And yeah, pretty good damage right there. You can also do the same thing with someone like Lavos. So with Lavos, simple. You shred enemies. And plus, give him some green shards. He'll also armor strip. Just like that. The weapon does look a lot better when you're using it on someone that can buff your damage. Isn't that right? And it's using the same build, by the way. Let's go to someone like Mirage and use the Glaxion Vandal. The thing with Mirage is that she has Eclipse. That's a lot of damage right there. So again, using the same loadout, what I could do is I could change this to something like Corrosive. That means I can drop 2 mods here and turn it into a corrosive weapon. So Corrosive, we got Infected Clip, Stormbringer. We have Corrosive Cold now. And because I have Nourish on Mirage, I can have Corrosive, Viral, and Cold. I can also use Primary Frostbite to get even more multi-shot and crit damage. That's if I sacrifice Primed Magazine Warp. So let's actually try that out. But let's take Frostbite right here. As you can see, Cold Status Effect, I get crit damage and multi-shot. That's really good for beam weapons. We can drop that, move this here, and put in a base damage mod. Let's just put Heavy Caliber. It literally doesn't matter. I have Arcane Acceleration on her. Let's put on the Worm and see how the damage fares. Shoot. Of course, that's pretty strong, right? We don't get the crazy crit chance that we had earlier, but this is just fairly strong. Killing enemies far too quickly. And did I even stat? Yeah, I have my Primary Frostbite right there. Increase crit damage and multi-shot. So these are the different loadouts that you can do with the Glaxion. So, ladies and gentlemen, how did you feel about the new additions, Kuva SOBEK and Tenet GLAXION? Were you disappointed? I sure was. I don't know about you, but hopefully DE fixes the acid shells issues, and when we get the augments for the Kuva SOBEK, hopefully it will feel a bit better. The Tenet GLAXION augment, it's don't worry about it too much. As you can see with the different loadouts that we just did, we were wiping the floor with enemies. But yeah, folks, that has been it from this video. I do hope you've enjoyed and learned something from it. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace. Bye-bye now. Take care. I'll see you soon.